Jerry, at your opening news conference, you talked about needing to win now with this talented roster. You're always optimistic every season, but I wanted to ask you, why do you feel this is a roster built to win a Super Bowl this season?
Well, this is the best complementary team that we've had going into camp. I think that I can remember. Not only do we're minus a kicker, but we'll get that one resolved. But on both sides of the ball, defense and offense, and frankly, most special teams things we do, this is the most balanced. We've got the best athletes, best skills, and I really like what we are and where we are with our coaching. Mike focusing in on zeroing in on the play calling. That will allow Dan to basically have complete, if you will, really, I'm not going to say discretion, but it'll create a great dynamic there that I think gets the most out of our talent. So I think we've really made some adjustments with who's coaching what and who is coaching, along with some of the additional talent we've added. It's going to make it a big year for us.
Jerry, you've talked a little bit about Zach Martin today. I just wonder if even after all these years, if it's tough not to take a situation like this personally sometimes. You famously say you don't let your money get mad, but are you disappointed by the way this thing has played out?
Well, Zach Martin would be the antithesis of my money getting mad. Zach Martin would loosen my purse strings relative to what he is as an individual, what he is, how we admire him as a player. He was a high first-round pick. He's been everything that pro football is about. And I wish it were that every player that had the sustained career that you could just look in a cubicle at that player. You can't do that because we have just so many dollars to go around, and we not only have the commitments that we have to the players today, but the dollars that aren't committed are committed to people such as Parsons in the future, and if you will, a Lamb, and again, without getting into detail there. Now, we all understand the system. What one player gets, the others don't. And so that makes it incumbent to have to sit there with somebody as great a player, as great a person as Zach is, and basically have to say, look, we've got to keep this thing like we've got it designed and like we've got it contracted to have money to keep this team on the field and keep it going forward.
Jerry, Dak Prescott guaranteed the other day that his interception numbers will be down this year. What gives you that confidence and belief that that is in fact true?
Well, I think just that. I'm in the camp that saw a few of those interceptions that weren't necessarily interceptions that he needs to improve on. We've got the overall scheme, what we're trying to ask him to do, protections, all of those things are involved. But of all the players that I've been around, the one that takes his resolve from the classroom, or if you will, then takes it to the practice field and then executes that in a game, it is Dak. And so that when I think that we can look for the kind of improvement, why the emphasis on a turnover? Because if you throw it, it's going to get turned over from time to time. It's because those turnovers result in a complete change of feel. And in the games we played last year and the ones we'll play this year, it can be the difference in winning. He's got his eye there. He's always, I remember when I first met Dak, he said that his mother, when he walked out of his home, and most of the time it was a mobile home, and she was going to work, most of the time she would holler at him and say, Dak, remember, no interceptions. That was back high school, college. So he's indoctrinated in no interceptions, and he's not fragile about being talked to, coached, and have it emphasized for him.
Jerry, you won your Super Bowls, those that you've won so far, relatively early in the ownership of the Cowboys, but you've managed to grow the brand, make the franchise the most valuable in sports. even as the Super Bowl drought has continued. Is it difficult to stay as motivated to win when you know you're winning the business side of things anyway?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, when people are generally say or question your ability to do it, or a test that can't do it, that's motivating, and I think that's a human trait, and so it motivates me. But more importantly, there's a misnomer. There's a misnomer, and it really is, and must be protest, but I'm going to say it. That Jerry's about the money. Well, Jerry had more than I could have ever dreamed, and I was lucky to have it. And it wasn't even close to enough to buy the Cowboys. And I bet that in the future gave all my money up just to get to sit here and talk to you guys today and be a part of sport and be a part of the Dallas Cowboys. And so it means more to me today than it did then. Now, I'm thankful for all the Super Bowls. And I look around and I know how hard they are to get, but that still doesn't make me want to go get it. Along those lines, and I know that you're thinking that, but Sam, don't you think that? I'm going to be like Clint Eastwood. And when he was asked about his age, he said, I'm not going to let the old man in. He can't get in. I'm not letting him in. Well, he's not going to get in here at all. And we're going to go out here and do everything we can to do our part to have a winning team and have a Super Bowl contender.
Jerry, you have the tough task of deciding who goes into the team's Ring of Honor. DeMarcus Ware goes into the Hall of Fame in just a few weeks. How soon will the Ring of Honor follow?
Well, it is not a tough task at all. Tex Ram, who started the Ring of Honor, coached me up pretty good when our short time that we had when I first bought the Cowboys. And he said, make it so exclusive. Don't put a lot of people in it. And don't just put in it the greatest players or the greatest coaches. Put in the ones who make the greatest contribution to the franchise and help build and are cornerstones of the franchise. DeMarcus Ware is a no-brainer. He's the definition that Tex Ram had in mind. I get criticized that I'm a committee of one. Well, he was a committee of one. He advised me to keep it that way because of the contentiousness that might go on. I'm proud that he'll be going at some point in the Ring of Honor. I'm not prepared to say when, but I've known usually when someone's deserved, but I haven't known when I'm going to decide to do it. And that usually has to do with the surrounding, the nature of the season we're having, those kinds of things, timing.
So I wrap up with the obligatory Jimmy question then. Are you any closer to making that happen with Jimmy Johnson?
Well, we've talked about that before. Jimmy was a great coach. We've got 2 or 3 coaches that need to be in there, candidly. And so we'll make something along those lines happen. First of all, it's very appropriate that we put DeMarcus Ware in that.
Jerry Jones, we've taken a lot of your time. We really appreciate you accommodating us under these circumstances. Enjoy the rest of camp and enjoy the fight tonight. And thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Jerry.
Real good. And Sam, I ought to shut this camp down without you here.